Okay, in this video what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to make your retention pond. Now, hopefully you have your building on, your site, you also have your parking lot, sidewalks, etc., all the stuff that you need with your parking lot and pedestrian entrance going into your Keystone library. If you do not, there are videos on that as well. But in this one we're going to make the retention pond. So for that, what we're going to do is just select our site and we're going to hit Edit Surface. Let's go to our top view. And wherever you want to put your retention pond, you're going to want to know what the elevation is at that spot. So I'm going to put mine right over here. And obviously you have a parking lot and some other things that could get in the way potentially, but that's where I'm going to put mine. So I'm going to click on that point, and it tells me that it's 78 feet and 6 inches. So I'm going to just copy that, Control C and copy it. And then I'm going to go and do points. What I'm going to do is I'm first going to put some points around in that shape. Alright, so I'm going to draw the shape of what I want my pond to look like over here. And you could kind of make it whatever your little heart desires. So I could go around and add points. Now, the more points you add, the better. Alright, so I'm going to tighten this up a little bit, and I'm going to go in for the shape that I created. And I'm going to create some more points in there. And this is all at the elevation of the 78 to 6 inches. Alright, now what we have to think of is how deep our retention pond is going to be. On the calculation sheet you did, it was 4 feet. Now we don't want to just make it 4 feet, the elevation to go down, just because we don't want 4 feet to that to be all the way to the top. All right, so I'm going to actually make mine 8. All right, if you remember for some of the PowerPoints, there'd be kind of like a drain in there half the way up so that the pond couldn't fill any higher than that. So we don't want it to be exactly 4. We want it to be 8, and then the pond would probably only fill up halfway. So I'm going to do some simple math. So it's going to be 782 6 minus 8, so that's going to be 74. Okay. And then all you do is you go around, and you don't want to be right up against the shape you created because you're going to have some very steep points going in. So I'm going to go kind of close to it, but not right up on it, just so we don't have a huge drop off in elevation. And I'm just going to go around and kind of mimic that shape I created. Alright, and you guys kind of get the idea of what we're doing here, hopefully. And once again, I set the elevation to the 8 feet lower. And so what that's going to do is it's going to make kind of the base. Let's get my point in there. There we go. Alright, so there would be my retention pond. Let's look at it. Very nice. So you have some options of how big it is. Now, if I wanted to calculate the volume of this pond, because we have some volume requirements of the project of how big the pond has to be, what I would do is, if we go back to the Annotate tab, and a simple thing to do, alright, let's go to our Keystone Center site plan. Alright, there's our pond. And let's go to the region, masking region, and I could just come in here. So once we're in the masking region, what I did was I went up here and picked the spline tool, and I'm just going to kind of go around, and we're tracing the deepest part of our retention pond. Alright, that's what we're going to use, because we're going to just get an area of this. Alright, and I'm just using my spline tool to kind of go around and roughly trace the shape of the bottom of my retention pond that I created here. Alright, I'm just adding points to kind of get a rough shape. And for whatever reason, I could never get my spline to kind of finish on the point I started. So I always just use a little line to finish it here. I seem to have better luck with that. And you can see I didn't even get it with the line. Alright, so there we go. I got it connected. And so when I click my region, I have a region right there. And when I click on that masking region I created, it's going to tell me my square footage. From that, you should be able to figure out the volume of this retention pond and how much water it is capable of holding. All right, now that wouldn't be the exact amount, but it'd be pretty darn close. All right, so I'm going to delete that. Last thing, this is just bonus if you want to do this. You don't have to, but I'll show you how to actually put water in your plan to make it look like you have your pond kind of filled in with water. So if you wanted to put water, what you could do is go to the sub-region right here. And what we're going to do is kind of trace the outline of our retention pond. And again, I'm going to use the spline tool since I picked such a fantastic looking shape. And you can kind of see this thick line is what I'm going to use for my guide. And this really doesn't have to be perfect, and you'll see why in a second. Appearances is everything. And so I'm just going around, and once again, using spline, you're just picking points. Hopefully by now you've used spline a couple times and you know what you're doing. And that was kind of sloppy there, but whatever. You guys will get a little bit more neater than I will. And once again, I never like to finish my spline, so I'll just finish with a straight line. Green check. All right, so we have our little region. Right now the materials by category, so let's go in and change it to site water. All right, anything that you want to find for site, remember it has site in front. Double click. Ooh, and let's look at that. Let's look at realistic. Watch my computer blow up here. You can see I have some water in my pond now. Alright, not a requirement, but you know, I know some of you guys will want to do it. And so there is my retention pond with water in it. From that, this video, you should be able to kind of figure out your volume needs and make your own kind of custom shape what you want. I'm sure you could get on the interwebs and find some fountains or whatever you wanted to put in there to kind of make it look custom, some vegetation around it or whatever. All right.